Okay, now it's time for our final speaker of this morning chapter, and he's from right here at the MIT Media Lab. In fact, he's been on our radar for a while now. Back in 2012, we named him to MIT Technology Review's annual list of innovators under 35. These days, he's developing what he describes as a new data structure that will someday allow AI agents to coordinate with each other, handle all kinds of tasks on our behalf. First, he's going to share some slides about how this all works, and then we will talk about what this might make possible in the short term and his long-term vision for how these agents could reshape our lives and our work. Please welcome Hossein Rahnama to the stage.
I have mixed feelings about MTech because it continues to be one of my favorite events, but it continues to remind that I'm no longer in my 30s. It's great to be here with you. My name is Hossein Rahnama. I run a program at MIT Media Lab called Sapien. It's a program that is thinking about the systems and protocols that we need in the future when we bring AI and human to collaborate together. When I got the TR-35, these were some of the projects that came out of our lab right after that, from coffee machines that could sense the stress levels and sleep levels and change the intensity of your espressos, from navigational systems at airports that without using radio signals, you could use augmented reality to navigate airports, helping the police force to create situational awareness, and also launching the very first contextual navigation program for the Paris Metro Authority. Since then, many things have changed, especially our relationship with data. Back then, our mindset was the mindset of a graduate student. Professor, give me the data, and when I have the data, I'll write my thesis, or I'll do my work. That era is gone. We have a lot of data sitting in silos with different legal contracts. We are shifting from personalization that basically looked at centralized data and pushed things to people to participation, in which we are collaborating with machines and models, and we want to be in charge when we are receiving that final answer. We want these data sets to be auditable. We want to see if we have provenance in these data when, let's say, we are a regulated organization, or we have to really understand the decision-making process. We want to break these silos. We want to create alliances between telecom carriers, banks, utility companies, and travel companies to share data with our permission to create new synthesized experiences for us. We do not have those protocols, and we do not have that spectrum at the moment. 25 years ago, it was unfathomable to have multi-point HD video conferencing on our phones. We now take that for granted. One of the reasons is that we have a very strong communication spectrum now. Infrastructure, bands, 5G, soon 6G. So that's the spectrum that we created over the past 40 or 50 years. We now need to think about an AI spectrum, and that's what we are doing at MIT Media Lab. How do we build the next generation of human AI experience architectures? How do we abstract data complexities? How do we bring audit and traceability and provenance to these types of data, and making sure that we empower people rather than replacing our current work? Many of you heard about the term HCI, human-computer interactions. MIT Media Lab continues to be an excellent node of excellence for that. But the way we are thinking about the future is based on a paper that I read when I was a graduate student by Mark Weiser from the Xerox Palo Alto Research Lab that said, the best technology is a technology that you cannot see. So the focus of our group is to put AI in the background. We don't want to see AI. We are interested in human-to-human interfaces, and we want AI agents to help us to communicate and collaborate better. Over the past couple of years, we have been looking at agentic AI. By the way, AI agents are not new. They were built in 1994. They are encapsulated software that can understand, that can perceive, and that they can do actions. But it's the very first time in AI history that we now have millions of people training these models, allowing those technologies to demonstrate impact. One of the works that we are doing are building these new data structures for the future of agentic AI, and we call them chronicles. These are multimodal AI graphs that can understand context, behavior, they can reason, but all in one data structure rather than you worrying about hundreds of agents getting orchestrated. We are now working with large organizations, with agencies, with government organizations to demonstrate how this is going to change the future of work. We have agents that can understand patterns of communications through emails, through Slack channels, and we are measuring things that AI historically was not very good at. Who can collaborate with whom better? What team is best for achieving a task? What is synergy? What is mentorship? And in our research, we are seeing that almost all the models in the market are performing less than 50% when it comes to understanding human elements. They are very good in telling you, oh, there is a mug or there is a computer on the desk. They are not very good in saying, these folks may not like each other and it's not the best idea to put them in a team. That's what we are working with our group. And we are doing a lot of comparisons on how we are outperforming a lot of the new, novel, commercialized platforms out there that are combining generative AI and agent-based modeling. It's early days, but we have very promising results ahead of us. Now I want to share some examples with you, and I'm looking for the conversation with our friends from MTech. The chart on the left is very familiar to you. A two-dimensional org chart, project comes in, people get together based on some metrics, budget availability, calendar, and they perform the task. With one of our funders and granting bodies, we are now creating human AI agents for every single member of an organization that has more than 100,000 employees. When the project comes in the literature of Gen AI, think about it as a prompt with a large context window. It's not people who are collaborating, it's the representative agents that are collaborating to perform that task. Now, this is not about replacing their jobs. This is about giving them more time to spend time with each other, to go to conferences like these, to learn, but their agents become better and better. We are now incorporating legal contracts in these graphs, like what if you leave the company? Who that knowledge belongs to? Is it going to be to the pool of the knowledge base for the organization? So now I want to give you some quick examples on what we do. The video on the left is a video of our lab. The one on the right is a tool that my colleagues created that allowed you to use Gaussian splatting to create the digital twin of that space within an hour. We then interconnect to enterprise systems such as project management tools, tax systems, payroll systems, CRM systems. And now using a digital twin, you can create a fine-tuned lens and say, I want to come to the office and I want to see the office through the lens of the CEO. What is he thinking about today? And the chronicle allows us to go and orchestrate and bring and render information that is important for that individual. We can then switch the lens, let's say, to the head of ESG. How are we doing in terms of our carbon footprint? Recently, a bank procured this technology from us. Do you know why? They have serious problem with their younger generations bringing them back to the office. If you know how to solve that problem, let me know as well. They are thinking that by providing a solution like this, while their new incoming cohort are working from home, they develop better affinity and better collaboration with their mentors. They get a better understanding of the office and they get onboarded faster. We are applying this core technology to different sectors, from bringing astronauts together so when they send them to the ISS, they can actually understand their cultural behaviors better, to helping doctors that when they are reviewing a medical dossier, they can actually activate the lens of other colleagues in other hospitals to see what their viewpoints are. This is a reason that biases in AI is actually a good thing. Who here is not biased? As long as we are transparent about the biases in the models, we can use them for good decision supports. We do a lot of work with banks. we are now showing that with these capabilities, you can replace a financial advisor, and by interconnecting to data, you can render all of these information in immersion, but you're still continuing to talk to your financial advisor through Zoom, but instead of showing the PowerPoint chart, all of these dynamics will happen in an immersive environment. My teams are working on even replacing your mobile banking app. They are embodying AI in objects that you can basically continue to have your credit card, you can see offers on that, you can see your budgeting, but the goal is that we want the displays to go away. We want to embody these in the objects. Of course, they are students, so they also use that to split their bills when they go to a bar or a restaurant by using Gen AI, by using voice commands, and by using glasses like these to be able to render information. We are now incorporating this human knowledge in robots. These are my daughters. They are now talking to the robot, but instead of setting up the robot with settings and configurations, I will be able to put my agent in the robot so they are communicating based on my value systems with the robot. And it's a multimodal platform, so the Chronicle continues to learn from the robot. If you get a tour from the Media Lab, of course, we are known to be a very cross-disciplinary group. So you can now walk the lab and look at our group through the lens of different people. So you can say, I want to go to our human dynamics group, but I'm very interested to look at this group through the lens of a different professor. So although you are rendering the information, even using Gen AI, but you're also developing perspectives on what people talk about. Talking about innovation collision. We have different groups in the lab. We have biology, we have Gen AI, we have city science. Think about your organization. You have two separate projects that you really do not see the synergies between them. I can now create a collision between the two, and using the fine-tuned models that we created in the lab, a new idea will be generated, allowing us to think about ideas that we never had before when we were in our silos and collaborating. I want to show you one last example. This is a project that we did with Bloomberg. You may know Emily Chang. This is a program that is live now called Post-Human. And what we decided to do, we wanted to prove whether we have reached a level of AI maturity that we can truly create these human AI agents. So we built her Chronicle, we used videos, interviews, books, data that was publicly available, and we created a human AI agent. So now and then we said, well, we are not experts in creating facial expressions in movies. We partner with a group in Hollywood and say, can you give your models to us? We now want to map it based on the chronicles that we created about someone's behavior. And that's the tool that we created. So instead of consulting ChatGPT or a black box model, I can activate the chronicle of interest, which is the knowledge base of humans. I can ask that individual a question. The graph will be parsed. And now I can talk to that individual.
Enhancing productivity.
And what you see here is that audit dashboard. Everything that she's saying is being checked through our validation tools, through our audit tools, without interrupting the conversation. Imagine that you have multiple agents. Imagine that I want to ask a question to two agents and just observe how they are communicating. Think about a presidential debate. Think about preparation for an interview. I can activate not a black box model. I can activate human AI agents that are being provided to me, and I can just observe and learn and prepare. I will wrap by saying that when we did all of this work, I can confidently say the technology is there, and the technology is not the impediment and the problem for advancing these technology. It's us. It's our understanding, it's the literacy that we need to provide, it's the human empowerment that we need to do, because our knowledge can be protected and secured and encrypted, but it can make AI better and more auditable. So that's why we are now spending time, as a computer science grad, we are usually siloed. We are now spending time with people who have been the head of palliative care for Mount Sinai Hospital. We are working with students. We are working with corporations, bringing them to the lab and let them collaborate so we learn what are some of the things that we need to fine-tune for these models to become more humane. We are now building tools, paper tools, board games, and we bring executives of Fortune 50s and we say, you know what? Measure the readiness of your organization. Tell us all the attributes you have. Start from where you are, and then we will empower you to get there. So what I will wrap up with is that empower people. The funniest job posting that I saw about 2 months ago was on LinkedIn from a well-known company that was looking for someone with 10 years of experience in Gen AI. That doesn't exist. Invest in your young talent, not just computer scientists, designers, people interested in ethics. Build programs, partner with universities, teach them how to think with AI so AI doesn't replace them. So think about moonshot ideas. Data is really important. AI without data is meaningless. Build prototypes and platforms. You don't need to launch things for the end consumers. Turn your organization into a living lab and empower your team, empower your people, and create that readiness. Thank you very much.
Hossein, this is some wild stuff that you just showed us. And for the record, I'm rooting for the agents. You know, I've got lots of busy work that I would love to delegate to them. It's hard to know where to start with you, but just start by telling us, why are you all in on this idea of agents? Like, what made you believe that this was really going to happen? Was it just the interest and demand that you're seeing, or was there some fundamental moment in the technology that made you really start taking this idea seriously?
A few things happened. So with Flybits, we became perhaps one of the best when it came to personalization of information, mostly using algorithmics. Like, use algorithms, look at data, look at a bunch of systems, and, I don't know, deliver the best mortgage offer or the credit card offer, next best action stuff. Then I was like, something is changing. The data sets are becoming distributed. The human element is not there. It's all algorithms looking at people's data. And then in 2015, with my supervisor and collaborator, we started a project at the Media Lab called Augmented Eternity, that the Tech Review wrote about it as well, which was about demonstrating that have we reached a level of computational maturity that we can create a version of ourselves, and then have that available, and that entity can exist even after we are gone from this world, and that can represent us. Pretty a wild idea, but the reason we did that was that we thought, well, we are researchers, let's see whether it's doable or not. It actually worked out relatively well before the advent of LLMs and Gen AI. I always say that if you think about LLMs, LLMs cannot do everything. LLMs are very good to help you to understand how to say things. If you want to really perform a what to say, the what to say should be based on your data and your models to make sure that they are valid. So that's the principle that we follow. We built a lot of interesting tools for augmented eternity. We had CEOs of Fortune 50s who wanted to create their ambassadors to run the company. And then we ran a program with Deepak Chopra that the producer brought her kids to talk to the avatar's mom. And that was an aha moment for me because the kids hated it. They hated it because they're like, this is fake, this is not necessary, really does not provide that fake mom, does not provide that empathy and emotion. And I'm like, maybe we should think about turning these things, and this is before ChatGPT, we turn this into passive storytelling machines. So I can now go into a human AI agent and say, hey, mom, I had my first breakup, or I lost my job. And then using contextual modeling, using semantic computing, that agent can tell a story that resonates with that individual. And that model really worked in our studies.
So I'm so curious, like what kind of data do you need to collect from someone in order to create something like that or to build a chronicle?
If you're thinking about, consumer-facing things, I am still not very comfortable to bring this to consumers' hand because there are so many things that we got to learn. And that's why most of our work is within a company. Because that data is available, that data is protected. We trust the companies that we work with, and their goal is to really understand the efficiency and the productivity and the collaboration. That doesn't mean that this is not going to find its way into public's hand, but as I said, technologically, I'm pretty confident how this works. Our group has questions, like, are we at a point that we trust algorithms to make us sentient? Can you think about the future of a will as part of an inheritance that it's not a paper, it's an agent that is making decisions for you? I am not ready. I don't know who's ready, but...
You're not ready, no one's ready.
No one is ready. But these are great questions for us, that what are some of the things that we should do in order to get to that level of trust? And by the way, a lot of people talk about trusted AI, explainable AI. I think there should be zero trust on AI. Trust is something that is being defined between humans, and it needs to be earned. And explainable AI, like imagine a room full of lawyers and someone is trying to explain how backpropagation of a neural network works. It's difficult to explain. You can think about auditable AI. Why did you send me this? So I think these are all the things that needs to come together. And in Sapien, we have a big pillar called literacy as part of AI literacy for this technology to become mainstream. And that's why we are just working with very large companies to apply that in their organizations and learn from it as a living lab.
A good question from Andrew in our online audience here. What changes about how the human matures and progresses beyond what their agent represents once that agent matures sufficiently at some point in time?
I think an agent should never replace an individual. An agent can never do this conversation. An agent cannot do what you will be doing when you take a break and learn and have stress and have aha moments. Agents cannot do that. And one of the things that I always say, let's understand what AI is and is not, what AI can do and cannot do. There are so many things that we can do that AI will not be capable of doing at least for another 20, 25 years, whether people talk about AGI and all that. But if we truly create a literate community in the US, in Canada that I'm originally from, that says, you know what, there is a room for AI. This is how we use it in K-12, this is how we use it in medicine, this is how we use it in finance and other sectors. I think there is going to be this true symbiosis, not general artificial intelligence, which people think will replace us, but a very nice symbiotic relationship between agents and the representative people. And there are legal issues there. How do you control an agent? Can you put an agent on autopilot? How do you really gain that level of trust between you and your agent and your data? So those are all the big questions that we need to address, and it's part of our group's mandate to do that.
And just to wrap up here, if we achieve that vision that you've just laid out of a symbiotic relationship with our AI agents in the future, what does that get us? Like, what is the end game here? Like, why do we want that, or what does it do for us? What do you hope that it does for us that we don't have today?
So, for example, I'm very interested in K-12 education and AI. Why would a student need to stay in school for 12 years to get a degree, right? With agents, just observing their learning. I don't want students to have goggles and headsets and gadgets. I want students to learn from each other, to use books, to use papers. But I want agents to be in the background to learn and create passive intervention so they can learn better. The goal that we have as part of our team is that can we shrink that 12 years to 8 years? And then the rest of the 4 years, the kids can go and travel and learn skills that they can still go to the university or post-secondary in 18 or 19, but they don't have to be sitting on a seat just hearing lectures. That's the vision that I'm interested in. Think about medicine, right? Concierge services that when I go to a restaurant, I can use my glasses and say, based on biomarkers, based on Fitbit trackers and all that, show me what I can eat. That's interesting, right? I am enjoying my food, I am making the decision, but there is a passive decision support system. It's a very different mindset than the Bay Area. As I said, we need the Bay Area, we need the LLMs for how these systems say things, but for what they say, I want us to be in charge.
You've given us a lot to think about here. Thank you, Hossein. I appreciate your time today.